otherwise I would have forgotten it. Okay, we beseech thee, our Heavenly Father, to bestow thy grace upon this meeting. As we enjoy our fellowship one with another, may we grow in stature so that we may be able to give more to our friends in Rotary and in turn give strength to the ideals of Rotary in the service to mankind. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
of the things we think, say, and do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, John. Mr. Wayne, don't get comfortable.
Well, we have one guest today, Ben Powell from the Guilford.
Dale. Dale. Reports on birthdays.
Yes, I'm going to make up for my absence last week. Ralph Jones, you had a birthday on the 18th.
Yeah.
And Tom and Sarah Sears celebrated their 51st anniversary. On the 20th. And for this week, Mr. Tillman, the cameraman over here, he's going to have a birthday on the 26th. And on the 29th, Jonathan Smith will be a year older.
Wow. There you go.
Member anniversaries. On the 24th, Tony Humeyer will be celebrating his 11th anniversary at Big City Rotary. And on the 28th, both Tom Phoenix and Parker Crescenzo will be celebrating their 2nd anniversary with Tom's been here for a long time, but he had a little break in between. And then for wedding anniversaries on the 2nd, let's see, it'll be your 32nd anniversary on the 28th of August, Cynthia and Tony. They always go on a fun trip. We'll hear about it. And then Tom and Temple Richardson will be celebrating their 19th anniversary on the 29th.
All right, any announcements? I know we maybe not had that many last week. Go ahead, Jeff.
I have a surprise announcement that will apologize to those who haven't realized that we're almost in the fall yet. But in the fall, we have a thing called pig stock that we do. And there are a lot of Rotary clubs involved in this. There can be some other teams. I understand 15, 20 teams are cooking this year. Dan Quinn's expecting 1,000 people at pig stock. And we're going to combine our pig stock efforts, our Hunka Hunka Burning Rub barbecue team, with the greatest meal. Right, Kelly? Correct. And so we're going to do a greatest meal thing. That'll be one of our practice cooks. Our first practice cook, and I need lots of help, y'all. Our first practice cook will be Sunday, September the 10th. We'll probably start about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll spend the day out by the cauldron. There could be some gun shooting. After that, there could be some beer drinking. There'll definitely be a lot of barbecue cooks, and it's going to be fun. We're going to try and have 3 practice cooks, before the main event, which is October the 28th. So I'll be sending out an email, a little bit of a surprise announcement, but I get looking at my calendar and I say, well, dang, if I don't get started, we won't get finished. So Sunday, September the 10th, please come on out and support us.
Oh, yes, Sunday.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That is right.
Wrong month, wrong month.
Thanks, Jeff. I actually went to the pig stock meeting last night, and it's amazing the work that they put in to do this. I mean, Dan said it used to be easy with 100 people, but they're talking about 1,000 people. They've got a ton of volunteers. They're going to have 15 judges of personalities that people know around the area. But I mean, we obviously are a big supporter, but we need to continue to support. But it's going to be an awesome event. Proud to be part of the Hunka Burning Rub. Any other announcements that anybody has? Anybody? Yes.
Hi, so James and I are gearing up for the football pool. We've taken it over from Walt, we're really excited. I did send out an email asking for any teams or colleges that you guys are fans of, so we can make sure we get them on the weekly schedule. We want to make it really, really fun. We have a hard act to follow with Walt. And if you are in a position that you can donate items for our weekly gifts, we would love to take those off your hands. So just get with me or James. You can send either one of us an email if you need to meet outside of this or after this, whatever you need to do. So just let us know. We are starting September the 7th.
September 7th. Service, we do have a clean sweep on September 16th. Matthew wanted me to relay that, so I'm sure you'll see that on sign-up sheet here very soon. One other item, where's Dale? There he is. While he's drinking his coffee, there are some boats that we cleaned last year that need to be.
Yeah, I went by the
fall.
camp the other day and I talked to Rhonda, they're done for the year. So I told her I'd try to get a couple guys to come up there and get the boats, just kind of look them over and put them in the shed that we furnished last year. Did Matt?
Matthew and I put them away Saturday.
I was gonna ask you, if Matt had said that y'all got taken
Yeah, we
care
got
of.
it Saturday.
Did you put any cleats down, if anything needed to be done?
I was just follow direction.
I will assume that it's a moot point. Thank you.
Hey, also, just to put them kind of in front of you and put on the back burner, but it'll be here before we know it, is the project rebuild will be October 6th and 7th. So if people are trying to arrange their calendars for the fall, if they can participate in that, that would be great. It's the 6th and 7th and the 13th and 14th the following week if it doesn't get completed. So, anything else? All right, Family Feud. Everybody ready to get back into the feud? All right. Yeah.
I'm ready for energy.
Well, let's get back to Conrad then. We're trying to run it high, Conrad. All right, the Conrad family and the
Suck us in every time.
Listen, what are you doing at our table? Inviting him over here.
You can't sit here next week.
All right, the top 7 answers out of 100 people asked this question. Name a bad job. Name a bad job for someone who is accident prone.
Last
Let's get back to it. All right.
Oh, there you go.
Butcher, which I think is a great answer. What? Ding, ding, ding. I'm going to give you food service.
What was the first one?
Nasi cabbage.
What was it?
Food service.
That's pretty
Very
vague.
first one.
I disagree. That's pretty vague, Ralph.
All right, which way we go?
We need to narrow that down.
I'm gonna go with circus.
And no circus.
Circus.
Stumper, that's what I like. Name a bad job for someone who is accident prone. Thank goodness.
Ooh, yeah.
Construction, ding ding number 2.
Capital skill saw operator or something.
Lion hammer.
That would be, I've got it under construction, so we're gonna give you an X. And,
What was it?
you gotta listen up, that's why I put you all the way over there. It's,
You're way back there.
Yeah, he said, he
What's our answer gonna be?
said electrician, it was already under their construction. There's 6 available answers. Name a bad job for someone who's accident prone.
What's your airline pilot?
Airline pilot.
That's a great answer, but, and. All right, number 1 was driver. Number 3 was a police officer. Number 5 was a glass maker. Number 6 was a window washer.
Window washer.
I think.
Congratulations.
It's kind of scary.
All right, let's go.
Pilot is a driver, Ralph. We approach.
You are. Well, hey, I got to go over the bus the other week, so I tried to get as broad as I could.
You can Ralph didn't make up the answers. Not Ralph's answers.
Well, he's got
I've got $2 happy dollars. One, thank you, Chip, Mr. Bell, for covering for me last Wednesday. Then, you know, I had to go to the hospital last Wednesday. As a good Rotarian, I did ask to have the surgery after the Rotary meeting, but he said, nah, I needed to come to the hospital. The second one was for Gymnastics team. I know he's retired, but Greensville Orthopedic had 2 doctors work on my elbow and get it cleaned up and got all the infection out, and I think I'm actually going to survive. So, aside from not being able to skate because I left hand, but thanks a lot for your
I got 3. I saved them up, right? So happy dollar for Lisa and I just joined the Salvation Army Corps here in Greensboro. So we're looking for your support for all the incredible things that this organization does around the world. Second is, Kelly and I are empty nesters. Maggie dropped her off at state, so the house has gotten really quiet already, but we're adjusting nicely. No problem there. And as a present to ourselves, we gave ourselves a trip to Italy, which we will leave on Tuesday after Labor Day. And as you know, Kelly and I are friends with the band Big Head Todd and the Monsters. For some of you new members, you don't know about this probably, but we are going with them again. It's a 5-mast sailing ship that leaves out of Rome and goes down the coastline of Italy. And if all goes well, there's going to be an opportunity for me to get up on the stage and actually play with my favorite band of all time, my favorite song of all time, Broken Hearted Savior, with Todd and Mark Morris. So y'all wish me luck on that. All right, now we're also officially depressed. I'm going to the beach
Well, I had a great Eclipse experience. I flew my boys from Raleigh to meet us in Nashville. I got to see continuous the Grand Ole Opry. It was great. I mean, I'm not a huge country fan, but it was so much fun. Darius Rucker, Wyoming Judd, 4 other people on the program, and then the next day, when the eclipse happened, we were hanging out at the pool, enjoying nice company of probably hundreds of people, and then so my 3rd son wanted to go to the parking lot, asphalt parking lot. So we did it. we all figured he knew something we didn't. So they threw out a blanket on the pavement. And there's this thing that happens when the eclipse happens. And it's these wavy little snaky lines. And we got to see these crazy little patterns on the ground on this big white sheet. There was an astronomy set up right next to us in the parking lot. Some guy from Ohio came down. He's like the eclipse chaser. And then, so we got to see the whole thing. It was amazing. And the clouds just started coming in right at that point when the eclipse was happening, and it was like a wispy, misty cloud cover, but it happened. We got documentation. It was really cool. So 7 years from now, I'll go somewhere like from Mexico to Canada and across the country.
Right, I'm just curious.
Indianapolis.
Who had
That's
a
where they
positive
say
eclipse experience?
Closest for us. Time to start playing.
Yeah, what?
And who had a negative one? I had a negative. So everybody agrees. Northeast Greensboro. Judge Hassel.
All right, big shout out to the community service, avenue service we do at Rotary. We missed last week's meeting because we were at the Champions Breakfast that they have every year in conjunction with the Wyndham Championship put on by our Piedmont Triad Partnership local economic development group, but a shout out to 2 of our very own. You walk in, and of course it was at Grandover Resort, so who was our gracious, wonderful host, but none other than Kelly Harrell. So he was there meeting and greeting everybody, looking good because it was a fantastic event. Piedmont Triad Partnership is a multiple county economic regional development group that's doing great things for our community. And of course, they introduced the members of the board, one of whom was our own Darlene Leonard from High Point. So good shout out for two great Gate City Rotarians for their work last week.
Did you record it as a makeup?
We could have had makeup because Judy was there too. I think one or two other of us were there, so yeah.
All right, Tom number one.
I got a couple. I tried my best to wear black and gold. A lot of y'all went to Page and Grimsley, but the big powerhouse in the 70s was Western Guilford High School. So our 40th reunion is this weekend, and I can't believe it's been 40 years. Of course, I started high school when I was 8. But a shout out to Kelly Harrell also. He set us up on golf tomorrow at Grandover. The reunions at Grandover, so the guys want to buy you a drink. And we're going to have a blast out there. I told them I'd wear shirts.
Yeah, but will Bobby wear shoes?
Bobby wears shoes, that's right.
Well, this is Kelly Appreciation Day. I was going to do this last week and you didn't show up at the meeting. But 2 weeks ago, my professional society, that was the reason I was gone for 3 years from our club here, we in Greensboro got to host a regional meeting, which comes around about every 7 years here. And so Kelly and I started working together to put the meeting together, gosh, 2 years ago, something like that. And the meeting was 2 weeks ago. We had the largest attendance we've had in the last 10 years. We had it out at Grandover, and really and truly a great shout out to Kelly and the staff out there. My goodness, there was nothing that hiccuped. Everything was first class. They took care of us. I'm still getting compliments from the 100 people, 100 and some people that showed up at our meeting. Thank you, Kelly, and thank you to Grandover for everything they did.
I got this is a not so happy dollar, but I'm going to spin it happy. So our old friend Jack Reynolds, who was, a lot of you don't know, but was a member here for many years. He retired, moved to Arizona, but he's still very involved with Free the Kids and SWA, which remember the hurricane beard growing contest we had last year. Well, they haven't had a hurricane, but they've got some issues with feeding the kids at their other school in Camp Perrin, Haiti. And so they've had another service organization that was running that program to raise money for feeding the kids, and they've not been able to do it. So the happy dollar is that Jack reached back out to Gate City Rotary and the Greensboro Rotary clubs to help with the feeding program for Camp Perrin. That's the remote Free the Kids school and orphanage. So just wanted to mention that to you. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and any donations that you might otherwise be looking to make. Free the Kids is a great place that we've supported for many years, and I'll be sending out something just to keep it on your radar. But anyway, just thought bring that update to you, and Jack wishes the best to all y'all. And anyway, I'm not going to be promoting any beard growing for this. So.
I got a couple. You asked about Eclipse experience. I was having my annual physical. Started about 2 o'clock Monday, and my doctor, who's a friend, Randy Elliott's best friend growing up, actually, Chan Badger's great doctor, by the way. Chan says, he looks at his watch, he says, you know, it's almost time for the eclipse. I feel sort of guilty we're not outside. And I said, if this goes the way I think it's going to, you're not going to see the eclipse, but you're going to get to see a really great moon. That's the first one. The other $2, Wilder, rear-ended coming home from the beach. Total lost both cars. Lady's out of the hospital. She's surviving nicely, even though she had no insurance. And it was her daughter's car, and she had no insurance either. So we are out one 1996 GMC Yukon. This is the 3rd car it's totaled. There's never been an injury in our family in that truck, and it's never been our fault. Don't hit the back of a GMC Yukons. But we're in the market, so Wilder's fine. He's a little stiff and whatnot. The truck gave up its life. There was just nothing else to do. So.
You're sitting next to the auto guy.
I know. That's the deal. And believe this or not,
He woke up.
I guess the $3 there. Wilder actually actually wants a tank. He has no, we said, well, you want a BMW, you want a this, you want a that, you want a toy. He said, no, Dad, if we can find another two-door GMC Yukon, I like that thing.
All right, James, get on it. Anybody else?
Well, after supper, Grandma said, you know, I think tonight we ought to try some new positions. Grandpappy said, wow, that sounds great. And she said, okay, great. So you go stand at the sink and wash the dishes, and I'll lie down on the sofa and watch TV. What were y'all thinking?
That's a good one.
That was exactly what we were thinking.
That was right there.
Okay, just clear your mind of all of that now. When we have the chance for new member talks, it is always a hit. These are my favorite programs of the year. And today we're fortunate to have two member talks. Chrissy Hampton will be doing one. Justin Plummer will go second with his. And just so you know, I sent out a list of questions, topics to talk about, things that might spur a little bit of the train of thought. And you are free to use any or all or totally go off script. So these programs are all original, all Chrissy, all Justin. Chrissy, you're up first.
Thanks.
Go as long as you want.
When I stand up, you start the transition.
Yes, so do stand up, because Chip said, we love PowerPoints, and so I thought, okay, we can do a PowerPoint. Well, I've had the busiest 2 weeks ever, and so I actually paid my kids to put this together. So I could go all day, I think. So we'll see. Please stand. And I also told them, you know, like, I'm doing it the same day Justin is, and so that to me is a little intimidating. He's handsome, he's an attorney, he wears a bow tie, wears cool socks. So I was like, oh, that's going to be tough to beat, but we'll try, right?
You're way cuter than him.
Justin Hood.
So I'll tell you a little bit about what I do professionally when I get to it, but I talk about that every day. And I listen to other people tell me about themselves. And so when I thought about it, I thought, I'm going to talk about something I never get to talk about. And that's really the people in my life. And that's really what's made my life so incredible. It's the people that I've been able to spend it with. I'm going to try not to get choked up, but because I never talk about them. This is where I grew up. I grew up in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So I put some of the things I remember most about Winston. My family, most of them are still over there today. And so they did these very cool transitions. So they really did it up. So I am one of four. I have an older brother, John. I have an older sister, Rita, and my younger sister, Kathy. So John and Rita are still in Winston-Salem with my parents, and my younger sister's in Eastern North Carolina. My parents, we were all stair-stepped. My dad saw this picture and he's like, oh my God, we look like kids there, and they really do. So my mom is Betty, and my dad's John. My mom and dad got married right out of high school. They're high school sweethearts. This is Notre Dame. So I put this on here because this was actually on Summit Avenue here in Greensboro. I don't know if any of you are aware of that. I thought that was kind of cool. So they got married right out of high school, started having kids. And then when I was in high school, my mom went back to school and became a nurse. And she is in her 70s. She's still a nurse in the NICU unit over at Forsyth Hospital. 2 years ago, her hip was hurting her. And I said, Mom, it's time to slow down. Are you thinking about retiring? She said, no, I'm thinking about going to get my hip replaced so I can go back to work. So she still works today in the NICU. She has talked this year a little bit about retiring, so we'll see. So my dad's father, my grandfather, William Nagel, was a professional baseball player. So he played AAA ball and he also played professional baseball. He played for the Philadelphia Athletics, the Milwaukee Brewers. They were here in Greensboro. This card right here, this is very cool. Over here, it's Association of Professional Football Players. It's a little metal card that can be presented at any ball field in the United States, and you get entry. and that's even today, so it's very cool. Two neat stories about my granddad. One, he was known for hitting home runs. He was, and we have all these articles where he's the home run king of his time. And he was playing out west. They had a big Coca-Cola sign in the outfield. And if you hit a home run over the Coca-Cola sign, you got 500 shares of Coca-Cola stock, or the cash equivalent. He, baseball players at that time didn't make a lot of money. He took the cash equivalent to support his family. That stock, to this day, is, someone was telling me it's a little under $10 million per share. And he got, it would have been 100 shares. Another cool story about him is he had a signed baseball from Babe Ruth. And there was someone local, my dad told me his name, but I don't remember, I don't recall it, but a local gentleman that wanted that baseball. He knew my grandfather had it. So he said, I will give $5,000 to the charity of your choice for anyone that can produce a signed baseball of Babe Ruth. And so my grandfather gave over his baseball. So, very cool. So, how do I go forward? I don't know how to use this thing. So, my other grandparents, up here on Westover is Maruce Marble and Tile. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That was my grandfather, Aldo Maruce. He was Italian, and they have a very cool story, Martha and Aldo. They actually, this is Kemp Road in West Friendly. They lived in the very first house that was ever built on Friendly Avenue. Wow. And then here, I went the wrong way. So here, so about 10 years ago, my mom, she said, she called me out of the blue and she's like, hey Chrissy, do you know where Burmill Park is? And I was like, yeah. And she said, will you take me tomorrow? And I said, yeah, come on over and we'll go. So I took her to Burmill Park and we're pulling in and she's like, oh, well they rebuilt that and oh, that's the chicken coop. And it was very strange. And I was like, Mom, what are you talking about? She said, well, this is the farm that I grew up on. How I never knew that, I don't know, but my grandmother lived here. There was a group of men that used to gamble, and they would gamble this property. So my grandfather wanted, they lived there for a little while. So when you go around the corner to get to this wildlife center.
North Carolina Wildlife Habitat Foundation Educational Center.
There you go.
So when you go around the corner to get here, there's like an open field. So in that open field used to be tenant housing. And so the houses one day when my family was coming home from church was on fire. And there were a lot of lives lost in that fire. And so my mom said that my grandmother couldn't drive down that road anymore. And she told my husband to sell the property. She was out. She wanted to move back into the city. So very cool story there. I keep going the wrong way, sorry. So let's see here. Advancing. So I did go to Bishop McGinnis High School, and it was when it was in Winston-Salem and out in Kernersville. They have a very impressive campus now in Kernersville. Don't know if you're familiar, but very proud of that. And then I did graduate from the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I have a degree in psychology, and then I also have a degree in classical studies with a concentration in Latin language. I married Tracy Hampton, so I know he is Captain America. So if you need a voucher for pig stock, I can ask him. So Tracy and I got married, and I was working for a company and doing really well. And I flat told him, I said, you know what? No one will ever support me. I will be on my own, and I was doing very well financially. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was in apparel sales. I was doing great, and learned that someone once told me, if you want to know if God has a sense of humor, tell him your plans. And that's what happened. I had my kids, and it turned my world upside down. So I got immediately on a list because I was going back to work. I was going to continue to be promoted and climb the ladder, and they called after I had William and said, we have a spot for you, for your son. And I was like, oh God, I didn't think about that. So I called my husband, And I said, hey, so they got a spot at the daycare for William. And he said, great, when do you go back to work? And I was like, well, that's the problem. I have my new job. So I stepped out of the corporate world for 10 years and took care of these guys. So cute. I loved every second of it. It was so worth it. I wouldn't change it for anything. So here they are today. This is William. This is Matthew. They're my heart. So William is a junior at Northwest High School. He told me he wants to go to Wake Forest. I don't know where that came from other than I grew up in Winston. And so he thinks Wake is cool. He wants to go to some type of medicine. I said, gosh, I don't know how I can afford Wake Forest. So he came home his freshman year of high school, first day, and he said, Mom, have you ever heard of a valedictorian? I said, yeah. He said, I'm going to do that, and that's how I'm going to wait. Awesome. So he is in like the top 3% of his class right now.
Wow.
And he is killing it, doing really well. And so he had a picture of an x-ray. He just broke his arm real bad in here, so we had to do a little editing. I was like, nobody has to broken arm. So this is Matthew. He's my youngest son. He is going to be a freshman in high school. Matthew is incredibly witty. He's the coolest kid. For some reason, he decided he wanted to read all the classics. And so he is making his way through the classics. He's read The Old Man and the Sea, and these are the conversations that we have are about these books that it's all you could do to get me to read them in high school. And so I think that's very cool. So when I have a conversation with him, he blows me away with his intellect. He is a very intelligent kid. So this is just the 4 of us here. Work, real quick. My work allows me to come here. So I'll tell you very quickly. I do, when I stepped out of apparel sales, when I wanted to go back to work, it was during the downturn of the economy. So I had a good work history. I didn't have a recent job history. So I had a little bit of trouble going back to work. I had a friend ask me to come help her process payroll for her company. And I thought, God, that sounds horrible, no. And so she continued to ask me, and I did. I spent about 2 years doing that. I understood it. It was easy for me. And then that led to me being at Paychecks. So I sold payroll for 2 years. The company I'm at now, ProLiant, had heard about me from the industry because I had made a name for myself. And so they told me to come on board with them to sell payroll. I could sell any size group. So I've worked with companies with 1 employee all the way up to like 750 employees. I understand payroll. I know payroll. I've worked with actually a lot of your companies, and you probably don't even know that I had anything to do with it at some point. But I appreciate them allowing me to be here, helping me to be here and be a part of this group. They promote that. And so I wanted to let you know that that's what I do. I know a lot about it. If you ever had any questions, I'd be happy to help you with that. So this is my big, large family that are awesome.
Wow.
That's my story.
All right, so Justin, show us your slide.
Well, not to be one up, but I did not have a PowerPoint.
No kids to make do it.
So here are the stops. I was telling Cheryl, I don't apparently we shouldn't be doing this week. There we go. And talking about Wake Forest, my wife went to Wake Forest. They do accept payment plans monthly, I can tell you. So Justin Plummer, I wasn't prepared to make a speech or anything. I'm originally from Cabarrus County, North Carolina. Concord to be exact. Anybody know Concord? Yeah. Correct? That's right. So the home of NASCAR and the Avett brothers and some other cool people. Was born there. I come from a very, very small family, only child, born of 2 only children. So now it's just me and my mom. My dad passed away right after I got out of law school, so that's kind of how I got into the field that Cheryl and I are in, is that one of the first things I had to do, unfortunately, was handle my dad's estate. So that's kind of why I do what we do. But going back, I graduated from Concord High School in 2002. Starting to seem like more and more far and farther away as my temples gray and my knees hurt. Let's see here, I went to Appalachian State, stayed for 5 years.
parents told me that that's all great and fine, and they loved coming to see me in Boone, but it needed to be on my dime after 5 years and not on theirs. Was going to be a clinical psychologist or an attorney. Now I tell Cheryl I get paid to do both. But it's interesting though, because my wife is a counselor now and a therapist, and she works at Fellowship Hall. She does substance abuse counseling, which is a very tough job, and after that she gets to come home and deal with me, which I can't imagine how she does it, but God love her. But she is from New Jersey, right outside of New York City, has a very large family, so it's always great to latch on to somebody's big family when you have such a small family. But they've all since moved down from New York City area down here because they didn't like paying $11,000 in property taxes every week. So, but after Appalachian State, I went to Appalachian School of Law. Everybody always asks me, when did they put a law school in Boone? They did not. I've told this story so many times, I've gotten resigned to the fact that sometimes I just tell them that yes, Boone has a law school. No, it's a very small school in literally where Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia meet. It was a very, very small school, and all you can do there is study, fly, fish, and hike, which is why I went there. Big outdoorsman, love to kayak, do all that kind of stuff. I graduated there. I've lived in nearly every part of the state you can imagine. My first job was in Greenville, North Carolina, where I had to do trial work everywhere from Wake County to Currituck County, you name it. I've been all over the Eastern Shore. Moved back to Charlotte, was doing some real estate work, and found Cheryl back there, my savior, to let me do estate planning like I really wanted to do. So if any of you attorneys in the room have ever done work that you did not like to do, you will get broke with that very quickly. So, but let's see here, jumping around. I guess one of the most interesting things about me, we had some of these little snippets that we're supposed to talk about. One summer I had the great idea to go get a summer job in Concord when I was back home for the summer in college. And my dad was like, I'm very proud of you going out looking for a job. And I was like, well, no, I'm riding thin on my money from Boone anyway. So I decided for some reason to get a stocking job at Toys R Us starting at 4:30 in the morning in the summer. Not sure why I did that, but it definitely taught me some values of work and everything else. Also was a bartender and line cook at Blowing Rock Country Club. So if y'all ever had the chance to go up there. I have 2 dogs, Holden and Ben. Holden's a Pointer Dalmatian mix. He's cute, but he knows it. He gets away with most everything. I have a beagle named Ben, who just about does the same. My mom had some health problems after my dad passed away. Moved her up recently from Greensboro, so she's here on Horseman Creek right around the corner, so it's good I get a chance to see her a lot. I guess if I wasn't being an attorney, what I would do is probably be a musician. I play, I guess, piano, guitar, saxophone. I guess I can play bass too, if I had to. But I've seen probably kind of a music fanatic, as Cheryl would say. Most of the times, my paralegals are telling me to turn down my music and stay in our office so that we can get some work done. I've probably seen, I won't say 1,000 concerts, but right below that. I've seen, I guess, Widespread Panic 67 times. I've seen, you name it, I've seen them. Just got through seeing Roger Waters here in town not too long ago, but usually if I'm not at home or at work, I'm usually trying to chase music or playing it, one or the other. So. I speak German, French, and well, I don't really speak Latin, but I guess I can translate it to your point. Funny point on that is the first class in college went to, I placed into Latin, and one of our teachers said, after the first day we're going to speak nothing but Latin, and I was like, well, we did nothing but translate in high school, so I was like, I guess I need to drop this class. I don't know, I feel like you stole my thunder. It was such a good job by you. I can't follow that up. But yeah, I guess that's kind of me. Any questions? Oh, I'm glad whoever, for planning on this day when Matthew Foster was not going to be in the room to cooperate anyway, so.
We didn't want to ask Matthew if he could kind of share a little dirt on you.
Well, yeah.
This is terrible.
He's unfortunately in Montana, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, speaking of that point, that was kind of how I found the club through Cheryl and also Marley and Matthew I knew very well in college. But it's fun that Ben's here. I got initially into Guilford, and I was telling somebody earlier, it's funny I get to do my new member speech about 3.5 years later. So he will attest. He will attest from being in the other club. But I guess the other thing, I've lost about 150 pounds since college, so that's another, I guess, interesting thing about me, if you want to call it that. So you see me around town riding my bike or running or something, just honk or wave or something. I see Bobby all the time on the Greenway. I see you sometimes leaving the Greenway. So, but that's a little bit about me. Any questions?
Justin,
Yes.
there's an annual award every year that is given.
Oh, so my dad, he was big into NASCAR. He worked for a telecommunications company in Concord, and he was their point person at the Charlotte Motor Speedway all the time to come out there. And so if you guys know anything about racing or whatever, it's huge 2 weeks in Concord. I think before Philip Morris plant left Cabarrus County, but other than that, I want to say the tax infrastructure that is realized from the races in Charlotte basically pays for the educational system in Cabarrus County. I mean, it's a huge, huge revenue booster. So he would help set up all telecommunication lines and everything out there. Did it for 30 going on 40 years before he passed away. But every year he has an award that they give out his name that we go down there for, and Marcus Smith and Bruce Smith and everybody comes out. So yeah, we go down there for that every year, and they give that out to the most, I guess it's for customer service, that sort of stuff. So thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, all right.